Selena Gomez was overly glammed as Alex in that episode. And I was also excited for David Henry to be in this episode because I know he admires physical theater and physical comedy. I do not buy Teresa Russo as an employee of your sub shop for one moment.
Todd named in the pilot, it was Jordan and Julia. So it was named after his own kids, which of course Disney came in and was like, no, we're gonna do Justin and Alex.
So everyone, we have a very special guest, someone who is bringing joy to the world. And if you haven't followed Ezra Weiss on Instagram, follow him. He was our warm-up man. You were a scientist in one of the episodes.
You were a lot of things.
I was
Were you a horse?
I was fruit.
Were you a...
No, I wore the horse head mask often, but not in an episode.
Okay, not in an episode.
Yeah.
And
Just in life.
You were the fruit.
I was fruit. Yeah.
There's a great video that you have.
Are the behind the scenes ones?
Yes,
Yeah,
where you're filming you and Darren.
Yep.
And you're on the other side of the counter on the set, and you were being the fruit.
Darren and I would do the warm up together. And we got pulled out. It doesn't matter. They needed jokesters to be the fruit because we were almost like vaudevillian comedian types.
Silly dad joke kind of thing.
Yeah. And for those of you that are deep Wizards fans, this is when Max turned into Maxine, and Maxine was having a sleepover party, and all of her girlfriends were turned into old people or something like that.
Yeah,
right. And she was played by Bailey Madison.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So we were turned into fruit. And by the way, this was when, and this is not the episode we're talking about.
Not at all.
But this was when the YouTube or the internet sensation of the annoying orange was trending.
Oh, that's right.
And this is how Disney says, this is popular with kids.
Let's do fruit.
Let's go ahead and do the same thing they're doing.
Right.
But we'll make
kids
it
are
on our
we're
show.
over it now.
I don't remember the orange.
You don't remember Annoying Orange? He would
No.
just tell, it was a face with it's the filter basically where it's just the eyes and the mouth on an orange. And
It was like the OG.
do you say orange or orange?
Orange.
Sometimes I'll say orange. Because I'm from New Jersey.
I'm from New Jersey, but
I like an orange. Let's have an apple, an orange. And then everyone here in California goes,
Wow.
Orange? Anyway.
Aren't you glad I didn't
that
say
was the
orange?
joke if you watch
Sorry,
the episode.
listen, I'm the dad.
It says that. That
You're
was
just
literally the joke.
You just make
Orange
fruit
and glad you
puns.
didn't say
I'm
whatever it
such a
was.
They just make
Dad.
fruit puns. Okay, so the episode we're actually watching this week is season 2, episode 21, Justin's New Girlfriend. Aired May 2nd, 2009, written by Richard Goodman and directed by our lovely Victor Gonzalez.
Yeah, I saw Victor Gonzalez 2 days ago at the Dodger
really?
game. Victor
I
looks so good,
yeah.
so handsome and happy.
I love Victor.
He's so
much.
talented and
He's
nice.
the best.
Great
We're going to
guy.
have him and Guy Destad at the same time.
Oh.
At some point.
Oh, okay.
When they
Aren't so busy.
aren't so busy. Yes,
Aren't
exactly.
you so busy to see me? Anyway.
Orange is so busy.
Yeah. Okay, so Justin and Harper are bonding actually for the first time we've seen in the show.
Yeah.
Over their love for silent movies, in which Alex hates this because how hard is it to go back and just put voices in the movie? When Justin
and also that her best friend and her brother are now,
she doesn't like
it's
that.
like she feels left out.
Well, it starts
Like it's
off with our audience seeing an eclectic Harper and an eclectic Justin having a common interest, which is eclectic in its own right, which is like a silent movie festival
Yes.
that they go to together. And they're like, oh my gosh, we have an appreciation for this old time form of art.
Right.
Then Alex is always very like, "Ugh, if it's not modern and if it's
Yeah.
not trendy, it's boring and
I'm
I'm
not
not
into
interested.
it.
Even like with learning, right? Which is... Learning is information that's already happened that we're applying to present. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm over it. I just want to
Right.
do what the next thing is.
She just wants to read a magazine.
Yeah. I do have to say, real quick, rewatching this episode, Selena Gomez was overly glammed as Alex in that episode. I'm like,
There were some episodes.
It pulled my attention. I'm like, what kid gets like so done up?
Well, this was sort of because we talk a lot about how like the first season was kind of its isolated thing, and how like even that though we didn't really do makeup tests and all that kind of stuff. I think at this point, like she was starting to get a little notoriety.
Yes.
She was starting to be kind of like a person people knew is who she was. Like we had the episode where she says, "Hi, I'm TV actress Selena Gomez, and like she became known.
Yes.
So I think with that, like she started to get like hair extensions, and we started to like pay attention a little bit more to like a look.
That's interesting. I guess I'm just used to now.
But she was from that point forward. She was kind of always that way, always kind of glammed up.
I will say, and I've heard you on this podcast because I listen every week.
Oh,
I heard on the podcast when you were going through season 1, over and over, you would say, and we shot it without the public seeing the show.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we
Which
had.
was so special.
Yeah.
And now it's season 2, and you know what you have, and Disney knows what you have,
And she'd been going to a lot of events and photo shoots and interviews.
And the audience is now filled with rabid fans and celebrities, and they're doing all sorts of, special. You probably have a budget that's different from your first season.
Well, Disney would never tell anybody.
In terms of what they're investing in the show, not in the actors who are making the show. But you can see that there's a spark in the second season that is just a little bit different than the first season.
100%. And just the audience obviously is different and they're hyped. But when you said celebrities in the audience, there's this episode we watched recently where Rob Reiner was in the audience.
I knew that's the one you're going.
And Peter Marietta was like, hey, ask him to come and be a part of it. And I did, and he did, and it was very nice.
How come do you have a connection with Rob Reiner?
Well, Carl, and God rest his soul, was very good friends with our family and the Reiners and us. We would all hang out. And
I mean, it is kind of a holy trifecta of comedy right there.
My
it
dad
was Carl Reiner and Dom DeLuise and Mel Brooks.
Yeah,
I mean,
forget it.
Who
Like,
was
come
just
on.
on the podcast.
Trinity. It's the Trinity right there.
There's a show called Lots of Luck that my dad did that Carl produced and wrote and everything. My dad actually got which I didn't know, but a Golden Globe nomination.
I didn't know
for
that.
Didn't know it.
I didn't know that.
But that's how, I mean, I don't call Rob and be like, hey, how are you? You want to go
but
get
he
a
was
coffee?
in the audience.
But he was there and I knew him
because
well
the
enough.
show was a big deal.
Yeah.
And what, did he have a young kid that age? Just
His
interested?
daughter wanted to go. That's how we got like the Beckhams
Everybody.
and the this.
Yeah.
and
You know
It
who
was all
else
their
you
kids,
had? You
Cindy
had
Crawford
also
and-
Larry David was
Yeah.
in the audience. You know who else you had? You had that, I forget his first name, but the host of Amazing Race, Koenig.
Oh,
really?
yeah.
He was there. Yeah.
Of course you would know that. You're such an
I'm in the
avid runner.
audience. and
of course.
Darren and I would be like, look who's in the audience.
Yeah,
we gotta be
yeah.
funny.
But I remember when Larry David came.
Yeah.
Because he was down on the thing.
Yeah.
And I said, I took pictures with his kids
Yeah.
and everything. And then I said, hey, can I take a picture with you? And he was like,
I know. He's
and then
just.
I have the picture. He just was like, he
Such a
did
curmudgeon.
a very Nicolas Cage. Because whenever you see Nicolas Cage with fans, he doesn't.
Oh, he
doesn't-
won't touch you.
He won't touch you. He just stands
Keanu
there.
Reeves does that intentionally so he doesn't get like in trouble for gropey or.
I thought a lot of people do it just because of like the germies.
No, there's the germies, but then there's the also like, no, you can't say I touched you
does that
inappropriately.
mean- So does that mean I shouldn't? I
No,
shouldn't
you're
do
an
that?
Italian
So wait, hold
lover. You
on.
kidding me? You're gonna embrace and hold and hug.
Guys.
What happens when you walk in your house? Your dad says what?
You
You're
want a
hungry?
sandwich?
You want
Yeah, of
sandwich?
course.
Come on.
All right, it's different.
Different.
All
It's
right.
Times are
inappropriate
different.
that I take a picture and I go like
my
this
God.
up people's butts.
No,
I can't
don't do
do
that.
I can't. That's inappropriate.
Don't give 'em a, how do you do?
Hey.
So I noticed-
spark to the picture.
Yeah,
No.
so I noticed this
Terrible.
extra pizzazz that was going
Yes.
on. And I also noticed, well, we'll get to the sandwich scene, which is after our cold open, which is
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
I know you've got it in your notes. Go ahead.
But I do want to say this. Well, who was your favorite silent movie star?
Ooh.
I love a Buster Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just love a Buster Keaton.
Yeah, Buster Keaton.
I like the Gish sisters. Lily and Gish is
The
one
Gishes.
of my favorites. The Gishes. I actually used to volunteer at the silent movie theater back when they actually, the one in LA. Back when they
used to be on Fairfax.
used to be on,
Fairfax,
where is
right,
it?
Fairfax.
Is it anywhere now? I think
It's still like, I think it's still an operating theater, but it's not the silent movie.
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause-
it was
Well,
great
there
with
was a
piano
whole-
and
it was
everything.
Somebody got
So
shot there.
good.
There was a whole to do about.
There was a whole to do.
that.
And then I
while
forgot
ago.
who was the wealthy person at the time who said, I'm going to buy it. And then it
Yeah.
became kind of like an underground comedy theater
Yeah, and they
scene.
did. I know that they would play movies, and I think sometimes Zach Galifianakis would be there and
Galifianakis.
doing a like commentary, or it
Yeah.
became like
Right.
an event space.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was so because I used to go there all the time, which is why this is one of my favorite episodes, just because I love silent movies and I love film history. And I used to go and volunteer, and I would go and I would like they had all of the original films upstairs, and I would go and help like categorize them and by alphabetical order or whatever.
That's so cool.
And Well, and I loved it because, like you said, they used to have a piano player, and they would have people come and they would watch these movies with the live piano, just like you would have done. So I was heartbroken when it became just like another venue space, which is like LA has plenty of those. This didn't have to be that.
Yeah.
That's something that can come back. And I knew that as a warm-up person.
Yeah.
And you as a younger actor who had interest in things that were just a little bit more, I would say, in terms of culturally more mature.
Yeah.
Like you had an appreciation of an industry, cinematic industry.
Yeah.
And so I was excited for you to be in this episode.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was also excited for David Henry to be in this episode because I know he admires physical theater and physical comedy.
And he put so much into the Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He did a great job with it.
He did a great job.
Because he was always watching you do
We
your
all
physical,
were.
of
We
course,
all were.
as you
Yeah.
should, as you should.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I always felt like this was, and this of all of the episodes, it's weird because it's like kismet for some reason, right? To be here and talk about this episode.
Yeah.
There are a lot of episodes, but most of them I don't really like
was a long time
visualize and
ago.
remember.
Yeah, yeah.
This was very special.
Yeah.
For all the reasons that we will discuss, but of all of the, what'd you have, 100 and something episodes?
106, I
Yeah.
think it was.
Like I could say maybe like 5 of them I remember clearly.
Yeah.
Even the night
Yeah.
that we did the warm up for it,
Yeah.
this was one of them. Because that whole sequence that you'll get to, that was all done in playback. So it was almost like watching a movie when
Yeah,
it
yeah.
happened.
Right.
When it was such like, I remember watching this back, and even then at the time feeling like a lot of times, like you were just saying with the fruit earlier about how Disney goes, oh, this is what the kids like, let's do that. This was the opposite. This was going, hey, what's something interesting that we can introduce kids to that they might not be introduced to?
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
loved that we took the avenue of a children's show to do that, because this was not something you were seeing on other Disney shows.
Yeah.
It was very unique. Anyway,
Yeah. And it also still had the voice of Peter Murrieta in there
Totally.
with setting up silent movie
Yeah.
and also making some very sharp, very funny jokes for Alex's character or for Selena's.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
And,
go ahead.
and I'm just saying that my mom worked with Buster Keaton.
What?
They did a play together. And Eleanor, his last wife, became a very good friend of the family. And she was great. She was tough as
that's
balls.
amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd have to be, because like coming from vaudeville and stuff too, like Buster Keaton and all of them did.
And she was a lot younger than him.
Well,
but
sure.
There was a and I was too young and I never met him, but there was a bit where he would come down the stairs in the play,
yeah.
and he would slip and
Slide
do
down
that
it.
day. But they were like, "Don't do that because you're going to get
you're old.
injured."
He's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
older man. Well, David DeLuise is also known for doing
Pratfalls
pratfalls
on
and
Marble?
breaking my
and hurting himself. But like even
Or
before
jumping
you
into
hurt
trash
yourself
cans.
at the Emmys,
Yeah.
you would like that was the thing you did with your friends. It's like you do public massive falls.
Before even filming or videos or cameras and stuff, we'd go into Westwood, me and my brothers.
Yeah.
It's the
and we
best.
would put a
Trips and falls.
piece of paper down. And then, you know, the fun would be that they'd be across the street,
Right.
and you'd go and slip and fall. And sometimes people just walk around you,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
sometimes they help you,
Yeah.
or whatever.
It was
but
a great
it's-
social experience. It's like, what is that show? It's like, what would you do? It was
Oh,
like that
yeah.
from beforehand.
with John Quinones.
Yeah.
John
That
Quinones.
What would you
good.
do?
Is that still happening?
I'm sure every
so.
now and then, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not as popular as it was prior to
No,
COVID.
it was very big.
Right.
Okay, so we're at the sub shop. Teresa is getting mad at Jerry for putting mayo on an order that asked for no mayo. They both think their job is way more challenging than the other, and Max suggests that Jerry and Teresa switch jobs.
It's a switcheroonie.
But
It's a Freaky
switcheroonie.
Friday,
I know,
right?
which is so fucking weird because I'm out there taking orders and
Yeah.
doing it. Every
Yeah.
episode I'm participating in the sub
but
shop.
maybe you're like
So,
helping, you're not doing the
I
full
mean,
thing.
I guess they had to have this
I do
problem.
not buy Teresa Russo as an employee of your sub shop for one moment. Not one. If anything, she would work cashier, and she didn't.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So-
this is a theme now for me. What did Teresa Russo do for a living before the
She's
sub
like
shop?
on this right now. We
Is
asked,
there a
no,
backstory?
we asked Gigi and Perry, and they were like, well, I don't know. We never thought about it.
Well, you know who should know that answer would be
Maria.
But she doesn't because she's like, well, I wanted to marry well. So
Which is a
she
very
got an
Teresa,
MRS degree,
What a
right?
very Teresa answer.
Yeah, she got her MRS degree.
Yeah.
What is MRS?
Mrs. She got her Mrs. degree. Like
Yeah.
when she got out
Yeah,
of
yeah.
college, she just got married right away. But
new.
I didn't know either until like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I'm like, what's
okay.
that? So here's what I noticed going back, and tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you did a rewatch as deeply as I did, but in the beginning of the sandwich scene, and we see Alex is going around and she grabs fries from one kid and eats it and grabs water and drinks the water. Do you know who the kid was?
Yes.
Do you remember who the kid was?
Todd's son.
Todd Greenwald, who's credited as the creator of the show.
And he's in a huge band now. What is the band name? Do you remember?
clue.
Sorry.
Journey cover band kind of thing?
No, we're gonna look it up.
We're gonna look it up.
We'll find
a real band?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like
this,
a big.
and this
like,
is the
like
real.
They play like big stadiums.
Good for
and
him.
stuff.
How
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah,
But his
Jordan.
son, who has been watching, and now that the show is popular,
I was like, I want to do
let's
that.
let's put our kids in the show.
Well, but also
course.
it was so cool for them because Todd named in the pilot it was Jordan and Julia, so it was named after his own kids. Which of course Disney came in and was like, no, we're gonna do Justin and Alex. But
Okay.
yeah, in the pilot they were named after his kids.
But that is one of 2 cameos
That are in this?
episode.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so Harper and Justin enter the sub shop wearing matching shirts with a Charlie Chaplin very adjacent.
By the way, both
Image.
wearing V-necks.
Both wearing V-necks.
Adorable.
They won from trivia. Harper can't hang out with Alex because her family is going to pick out a kitten because Dr. Paul says that's how that now that their house has calmed down, it is safe for animals.
Can you say it again? What?
So-
what?
She goes, I can't hang out right now because our family's going to go pick out a kitten.
Yeah,
because
'cause
Dr.
Dr.
Paul says it's safe now at home that
To
we
have
can-
animals.
What does that even mean? Who's
It means
Dr. Paul?
That means that her Harper's, randomly, it's always like, I can't do that because I'm, being chained up tonight.
We talked
or
about how
whatever.
like the writers sometimes would just try to get you out of
Yeah.
a scene, right? And Harper always had weird like familial stuff. Like
But I
there was
love-
always like random familial asides of like, well, everybody's sad at home. Anyway, bye guys. Like it was always
but
like
that's
that
funny.
kind of thing.
But Dr. Paul?
Yeah,
don't know.
I love that because it meant
So
that
random.
they all had a therapist. And
Yeah,
that
oh,
they were
that's
doing
yeah, it was
Dr.
the family.
Paul.
That's Dr. Paul, the
Oh,
family
okay.
therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you not get that it was a therapist? Is that why?
You know what? I watched it live
Yeah.
probably several times when we shot that scene. I rewatched the episode.
Still didn't know who Dr.
And
Paul
I
was.
still don't remember that line. That's why I'm like, what happened?
We had one like that in a
I
recent
wrote it
episode.
down. I thought it was so funny.
No, we had a recent line in an episode where it was the family game night where Alex tells Justin basically like, okay, so what you're gonna need is maple syrup, a road flare, and like one other thing,
A bag of honey or something, or a barrel of honey.
something like that. And she goes, and the maple syrup's not what you think it's for. And he goes, it's not. He goes, oh, I get what it's for. And we never find out what
Right,
it's
but
actually for.
Right. But I also like the kind of lines that are very wizard, which is like, you know what? I'm going to stand over there and do nothing now.
Yeah.
Like those kinds
Very
of things.
self-aware.
Like, right.
Yeah.
All right. So Dr. Paul.
Dr.
Great.
Paul.
So you get to have a cat now.
I get to have a cat, maybe.
Right.
Alex approaches Justin and tells him she doesn't want him to date Harper. Justin says they aren't dating and that they both just like silent movies. He just likes having a friend that's a girl. But since it bugs Alex, he's going to call it a date. To get back at Justin, Alex suggests that Harper is going on dates with Justin to Harper, who starts acting all weird because I guess she just wasn't thinking, which I totally get because
Yeah.
all the relationships I've ever been in, we started as friends because I wasn't thinking about it.
Right.
The moment I start thinking about it as romantic, I turn into 12-year-old awkward, don't know what to do, overthink everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely happens. I just want to take one step back.
Please.
Where you said something and you billboarded it. You know what I mean? You said there was a line
Oh,
where you
yeah.
said this thing, and then I loved it because Selena, she looked.
She
for
looks,
it. She was
yeah,
like
yeah.
looking for it. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, that was a good bit. I like that one.
Sorry.
Those are fun bits.
But yeah, so Alex plans works and Harper starts acting like she has a crazy crush again. So Justin gets mad at Alex because she got Harper to act all creepy Harper again. And Alex is happy everything is back to the way it should be because she's her best friend. She weirds you out. You're mad at me and she watches you sleep. Everyone's happy.
Okay. So wait a minute.
Yeah.
Harper always liked Justin?
Yeah, until
Didn't
Zeke
we
came
know
along.
first season you were
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, I kind of have a crush on Justin?
Yeah.
Kind of. It was pretty intense.
Okay, thank
but
you.
they would go back and forth.
It
with
was
you know?
busts. No, well, they didn't really. There were episodes I felt like where it was more prevalent, but she always had a crush really until Zeke came along.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
And here in this episode, it felt like, as it should for the setup, they're having a very healthy friendship with
Yeah.
a common interest
Yeah.
until that little seed is planted to really
Yeah.
make people overthink the situation.
To justify it, to make it make sense for me, I remember thinking Harper was very hyper-focused on things. So like she would hyper-focus on a theme. She would hyper-focus on like some kind of hobby for that week. So this one I was like, she was hyper-focusing on the silent movie thing and being very excited about that. So she had blinders on to the fact that it was with Justin.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I justify it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also like maybe I'm not even thinking him romantic anymore,
maybe
like
that
in our
changed.
timeline.
Well, but obviously it did because she brought it up and she all of a sudden she reverted.
brings up, but Alex brings up the stuff to Justin that's of the past, which is like the sleeping stuff is like, that could have been like a year ago, right?
Totally. Yeah,
and it's funny because she says, in order to get Justin to think of Harper
With the
as a
yucks,
negative,
with the yucks, which is terrible for
is
Harper,
that
by the way.
She watched you sleeping.
Yeah.
And then later you go, you told him
didn't
what
tell
I was
him.
watching.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was so great. I love that.
Like he
because
misunderstood.
As friends, you probably knew that. Like you probably like saw him sleeping, and she was like, "What are you doing?" Like, I mean,
Nothing.
I'm just thinking he's cute and he's sleeping, but I'm not like camped out here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, small moment made big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just want to go back to one thing. That was when Teresa and Jerry are
Yeah, thank
having
you.
a
I
problem.
also wanted to circle back.
Yeah, but having a problem, Max wants money.
Well, not yet.
Well, because he wants to be an airline.
Oh, that
pilot.
hasn't
Not yet.
happened
He
yet?
wants to be an airline pilot.
He does this
Right.
all the time. He jumps
Yeah, yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
He
yeah,
jumps
yeah.
ahead.
I thought, well, there's a bit where
No, there's
he
two
says-
scenes.
Yeah, he
of-
says, I want, money. And it just so happens that I
Both
have
of you.
$5 ready. And,
Guess who
and
else?
Maria has
Maria.
$5 folded up ready
the
to
exact
go.
same way. But the props department was fantastic.
Yeah.
That being said,
That was just,
if that's what's written in the script, they're
You
going to
need
get
a dollar. Here's a dollar.
Yeah.
That was what that
Right?
was.
I mean, like, what are you going to do? You have to pull out the money. And
You would think like go to the register, maybe open a drawer and be like,
But that's
it was
additional
right.
shots,
But it
right?
also it also takes more time, and you just got to be quick about it.
Yeah,
but
just boom.
there's kind of, I guess it's kind of funny if you're of the age watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're because you don't think the things that we
No,
know.
because like
course.
to me,
Right.
when you go, because I'm thinking of when Teresa's in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and she's like putting all the wrong meats and doesn't know
Oh
what to.
yeah, she just doesn't know.
Just screwing it up and pulls the money out. If she had gone around the corner to the register, that's a whole new setup. That's
Yeah.
a whole move,
Yeah.
a
Too
whole
much.
cut.
Right.
It's too much for that
Correct.
one thing. So it's just
This episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod is brought to you by Lumen. What is Lumen? Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs. It gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then, Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for the day based on your measurements, which I find very helpful. My metabolism is at the center of everything my body does. Metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improving my energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, which is something that I struggle with, and Lumen has really helped me get better sleep. So if you want to take the next steps in improving your health, go to lumen.me/wizards to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/wizards for 15% off your purchase.
Also, the sandwich eraser. Remember the sandwich eraser?
The sponge.
The sponge.
It's so fucking gross
It's
because
really
sponges have the most
bacteria.
bacteria, and it's. I mean, if you watch any of these, like green light things, where all the not green light, but the
black
the
light.
blue
The black light.
The sponge is the most dirty thing.
It's pretty
Well,
gross.
that in beds in Vegas.
Yeah, beds in Vegas are gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the sponge thing, we're drinking out of people's glasses. We're eating food
Off their
behind their
plates,
backs
yeah.
that they paid for and they ordered. The meats are just out and hot.
It's a C grade sub shop for sure.
for sure.
I don't know if
sure.
we passed any
No.
test from the health
You
department.
probably shouldn't. But I also like the firing of how important my job is and you couldn't do it, and how important my job is and there's no way you could do it. I mean, How long have you had this sub shop? You probably both had to do everything at some point when you had to go to court for jury duty. Or I mean, you know what I mean?
It was a big stretch. It was a big stretch.
Yeah, the B storylines for Max had a little bit of taffy in it to stretch.
Sometimes we were talking about that before too, where it's like sometimes when the episode's really good, all the A, B, and C storylines all came together, and then sometimes you were like, okay, we were on the back burner on this one. Like it wasn't the strongest. Second storyline.
The base of it was not very strong.
Well, but also too, we talked about how like when it goes together very nicely. Shut up. When they goes together very nicely is when they are interwoven. These were totally separate.
Yeah, totally
These
separate.
had nothing to do with anything. They were not on the same theme.
Right.
Like they were totally separate.
Right.
So Jerry and Teresa realize that each other's job is harder than they thought. And when Jerry forgets what orders go to what tables and Teresa messes up making the orders, Max is willing to help both of them so he can pay for flight school. Where flight school came from, nobody knows.
No. You know, the only thing I can think of was Catch Me If You Can popular that year?
Yes,
Probably.
exactly.
You think?
Where Leonardo DiCaprio played a real guy who dressed up.
This was 2009.
Frank Abagnale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who then ended up working for the
Pan Am Airlines.
And the one great thing, if you haven't watched that movie, Catch Me If You Can, is great.
Great movie, Spielberg
At
movie.
the very end, he's like, how did you pass the bar? Remember that? Because he became a lawyer.
Yeah, he became a lawyer, he became a doctor, he was all sorts of
But
things.
he had to pass the bar. He actually passed the bar.
He studied and passed it.
So that's just the thing. Because isn't that what Tom Hanks says at the end? He's like, how did you do it? And he's like, I did it.
Yeah.
You know?
But then he became like an FBI informant. Which
He
is
helped
wild.
them. He helped them with the counterfeiting.
Which is kind of like what Alex did in the episode where she's helping Larry Tate like investigate.
Alex Does Good or something?
No. It was the one, I forget what the title is, but it was the one where with the career fair.
The career fair.
She's like following Larry Tate around and she ends up like a detective solving all the Tribeca crimes.
Because she doesn't want to do any of the other careers.
Yes.
Right.
And she understands criminals.
Right. I don't know what the storyline is about the airline thing for Max.
No one does.
So
no one does.
It's a good drop.
They just were like, what motivates him to want money to participate?
I'll go one deeper. What will motivate Jake T. Austin to want to do scenes? And he liked being in an outfit.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
true.
And she even says, you're a waiter.
Right.
Or something, right?
Yeah.
Right.
She says,
or a chauffeur or something like that.
Oh,
Maybe
chauffeur,
it's
Oh yeah, because he gets in
he has the hat
yeah,
on and everything.
He gets in the
so
little outfit.
silly.
Yeah.
So silly.
Then Harper refuses to enter the substation because Justin canceled at the last minute on the Buster Keaton marathon and that he had plans for the rest of the year is what he told her. So she totally got the blow off. Harper then realizes you told him and
About
ruined
the
the
sleeping,
dynamic and
yeah.
the sleeping and all that. And then Alex tries to ask Teresa for help with Justin and Harper, but Teresa's overwhelmed in the kitchen. She suggests Alex put others' feelings over her own and to get them in a room together and don't let them leave until they've worked everything out.
That was the heart-to-heart moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex tricks both Harper and Justin to the loft to work out their issues and locks them in the loft with the make your troubles no more, go in through the outdoor, which also mimics the silent movie gag of going in and out.
Yeah.
Like the revolving
and
door.
there was
kind
a
of.
great shot.
Yeah, I know the one you mean
Where
with Justin.
David leans out and you see his body and you see him pop in the other door frame in the back.
Yeah. But that's the classic gag.
It's a great gag.
Yeah.
It was great.
Right. It's like he would be reaching his arm out the door and then the hand comes in to sort of like tap him on the
But
shoulder.
it was one of
like,
the things. It was one of the things I loved about this episode was the fact that it honored all of those great Chaplin, Keaton, all of those great gags that have been recycled over and over and over again, but people don't know where they come from.
And I will tell you, they would never be seen on the Disney Channel.
Right.
No.
They wouldn't, not in the way that it was displayed in this episode.
Right.
I don't think, I don't, I mean, we've seen like inspiration of it or new versions of it, but this was like, no, we're doing all of these gags again.
We're going to honor it exactly.
It was
and
a
it
nice
was just
homage.
like boom, boom,
Very
boom.
nice homage.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Justin and Harper decide to get back at Alex by putting her in a silent movie, which she hates. They use the spell take away color and sound. This is where revenge is found. So then Justin, Harper, and Alex run around in a silent movie. We're all in black and white. Justin is dressed exactly like Charlie Chaplin. And like we mentioned, does a fantastic Charlie Chaplin impression.
He did.
And I remember him that week studying very hard. He went home. He watched a lot of Charlie Chaplin movies. He really worked that bit. So he was very committed to that.
I asked him from the bleachers.
Oh, yeah?
I asked him about those kinds of questions, and he was telling the audience that that's what he was doing. And even when he was answering, he was still like in student mode, like took it very seriously. It like didn't he didn't like release it from him yet. to move on to the next episode.
Right.
So he was like still very engaged and like kind of proud of the work that he was doing,
Yeah.
probably feeling like he could still do more. And not in any way treating it lightly. Like, yeah, it was fun. We did it. It was like,
Yeah.
no, it was really serious. I wanted
And
to
he
get this
could have.
comedy done. Yes,
He could have. I have to say, I was really impressed with him.
Yeah.
That week, just seeing like his respect for Charlie Chaplin and that genre and that period of cinema, and also to the dedication of doing it justice.
Yeah.
That I was very impressed by.
Yeah. There is a great gag with a gigantic sandwich that Jerry Russo has.
I love it.
I don't remember how that happened. I come in, I'm a soda jerk kind
Right.
of
Yeah.
thing. And there's one bit where I catch all the things on the plate.
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm
the
walking
train
through
gag.
with this. Yeah. But there was not enough time for me to hand the sandwich off and then
Run around.
and then get the back. Although the sandwich, if you notice, it dips a little bit
Yeah.
as I go out of frame. It dips a little.
Where you had to
and
let go of it and
I don't
hand it
know.
off to someone?
I mean, I don't remember how it happened, how we did that. Because there was movement the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it had to be. Because it's the train gag. It's
Yeah.
where the chase scene, right? And the train goes through and you got to wait for the train.
Right.
And then you go across the tracks, right?
Was it-
So
what-
it's.
maybe they slowed it down in the middle, or they
Maybe.
paused. Or,
I don't
they
know. We
played
have
with
to
the
watch
speed
the
the whole
extras.
time.
We have to see what the extras were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
The back.
If the background
responded.
actors.
Oh my God!
did.
Does that,
Yeah.
Did you just tell me that I got to rewatch the rewatch?
No,
of
no,
the
no,
rewatch?
no. But I think that the clues would be there. But yeah, that was the best thing was the face that you give
Yeah.
as you're carrying it. Yeah, the big
The
old
Deloise
It's the
face.
Deloise face.
Deloise face.
Yes, it's a great cheat out. I mean, it's total silent movie.
Yeah.
Total silent movie.
So the whole thing, the shenanigans of the sandwich being long, you dropping the tray, like all these things, the running, the big, all of the classic details were there. And it ends with a man holding up a safe with Justin underneath it
Yep.
with a rope. Alex tickles the man in the ribs, making him let go of it and making it fall on Justin, which of course he doesn't die because
Right.
it's a silent movie. We open the door and somehow.
Well, because the safe doesn't have the
bottom.
floor yet. There's no bottom on it.
Sure, because
Right.
that makes sense.
Right. That's how it was done in the day.
And then they end up all on a bench and they make up with each other. And there is a part where I'm bringing this up because it comes back where this like very classic 1920s cop walks down and they
With a
avoid
very
him.
authentic mustache
Who
that was
was-
very
Yes.
Who was our DP Rich?
Rick.
Yeah.
Rick.
Yes.
Rick Gunter.
Who
Gunter?
truly-
Gunter?
I think it was
Gunter. And I think he
He truly
passed away.
passed away.
He passed away.
But his son is working on the new show.
Is he really?
He's there, yeah. Because I said, I wanted to rip your dad's mustache off.
Yeah,
'cause
because that mustache was legit.
I think
Yeah.
it was like 14 years old or something. The mustache.
You know what? When you grow a mustache,
If you can.
if you can,
Yeah.
and it is like a signature piece, like a handlebar,
And it was.
or it's a mutton chop,
Yeah,
or
it
it's
was
like
for him.
you kind of hold on to it for a while.
Listen, I don't look good in a mustache.
You look great in a beard.
I'm doing well with the beard.
Yeah, yeah. The
But I've had a mustache and I just look like a creepo.
Yeah,
Most do. Most
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I'm around. It's a big like in the emergency room. We have like a lot of firefighters around, right, and paramedics and stuff.
They like a mustache.
They love a mustache,
yeah.
And
and they don't all look good in one.
No.
Some of them, like you can always tell the new ones because they have that little like pube stash because they're trying to grow it in.
A
Yeah.
pube stash.
No, but that's
Yeah.
what it, like when
I
you're first
know.
starting,
Yeah, yeah.
like there's that awkward. It's like with bangs. There's that awkward like mustache period, and you can always tell the new paramedics or firefighters because
They're
they
trying
just
to
have
look
that
like
little,
the
it's
older
not
guys, the
great.
veteran guys.
Yeah, they have the really like the old ones have grown it in for 14 years.
Yeah, the thing about a mustache, either it's going to look like you're friendly
Mm-hmm.
or stay away from me.
Or white van.
Do you know
Or
why
white,
that-
yeah, white van too.
Do
Yeah.
you know that a lot of firefighters grow a mustache because they're not allowed to have a beard?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons is because when they put the mask on, it doesn't adhere,
Right.
perfectly. I always thought it because the beard would
catch on fire.
but it's because of the mask.
Oh, so there's no like, so the oxygen mask doesn't have
That's what I was told.
a little buffer there. Oh, it's interesting. So Rick, who was your
The
the
he was-
DP,
yeah,
right? He was
director
the
of
DP.
photography.
Right. He looked the part of a Keystone Cop.
Yes, thank you.
And they put him in the episode
Yeah.
as
a Keystone Cop.
And he felt safe enough
Yeah.
with everybody involved in this production that he was willing to say, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And he
let's do this
committed.
fun.
He did
and
great.
he committed.
He was great.
So those are two
Cameos.
Homegrown
Right,
cameos.
right.
So you have the son of the creator of the show sitting there having French fries. And then you have your DP of blessed memory being a Keystone Cop and
Right.
Nailing it.
So good.
I mean, it was the part he was born to play.
It really,
Like if he was
you're
going to
right.
make a screen appearance, that was it with that
Yeah.
mustache.
Yeah.
So they all make up. They flash back into color, and Justin and Harper both become friends over silent movies. And Alex walks away exhausted from all the silence and overacting.
Mm-hmm.
Justin and Harper run into the classic style Keystone Cop from the silent film and run off just like they did in the silent film, but now in color.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost there. In the tag, Max quits helping Jerry and Teresa after he decides flight school is too expensive and it's just cheaper to buy a pilot's uniform.
Yeah.
And then we're out.
Which is a great way to just get rid of it, right? Get rid of the
Yeah.
storyline.
But again, that was like I'm going to go buy a cat. That's what we call it. That's what we're going to call it.
I
Whenever
love
we
that.
just fuck off in a scene, we're going to
Yeah,
I'm going to go buy a
cat.
cat. I'm going to go look for a cat.
So let's go back to the night.
Yeah.
That'll
remember that night?
fix itself. Yes, I remember the night. So we were working almost all of the scenes that were there must have been 9 scenes that we had to do live.
Yeah.
On average, 9 scenes. So we're working. You're filming. I'm entertaining the audience with Darren for a good 3.5 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
right.
You guys had so much energy.
And we all knew that by the end, we also still had to film the tag. But before we filmed the tag, there was that enormous silent movie that you all shot,
Right.
which was probably the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody got to see it. And the excitement that was on the floor, meaning the video village of
Yeah.
all of the writers, producers, executive creators, all the Disney executives that are there. And then, of course, wardrobe wanted to get in there. And of course, hair and makeup wanted
Right,
to see.
everybody wants
Everyone
to
got
see it.
behind
Yeah.
the monitors. Everything stopped. And everybody got positioned because we knew it was going to be about, 8 to 12 minutes. No, not 12 minutes. That's too
That's
long.
8.
Probably 8
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
8 minutes of this epic silent movie
Yeah.
that you all worked so hard on. And there was no, other than the piano music, like it was just watching you do your thing and listening to the audience laugh at this silent movie thing and watching you guys down on the floor, like all of you, and laughing at yourselves, not at yourselves, but at each other's performances, right? Maybe a little at yourself. It was such a special experience because a lot of shows don't have like a movie within their episode.
Right.
And also we all loved, and we've talked about this so much, but like it's just true, and it's still one of those like once in a lifetime things where it's like we all loved our jobs, we loved working with each other so much, and each week was our artistry all coming together to create a story, right? But this was even like a story within the story, like you mentioned, a movie within an episode, where it was not only were we, because there were some weeks where it was just the glam or like the costumes weren't that exciting, or like it was just kind of more of a baseline episode. But this was special in the sense that not only was it all of us coming together in our artistry, but it was to do something elevated. It was doing something that wasn't typical for a kid's show or wasn't something that you get the opportunity to do all the time.
Right.
So I think that made it even more special for everyone because everyone had a challenge with, or it was costumes or set or wardrobe or hair and makeup and, writing and all of it. Like it was just an extra challenge that we didn't typically have.
Right.
It was
And watching it come
did it
together too.
Yeah,
it came
it was
together
really
really
great.
well.
And what was it like? Here's just a general person's curiosity because I was not there on your Thursday before
Yeah.
you shot or your Monday, whatever it was that week. Did you have different makeup? Because I know that when you do black and white makeup,
that's a good question.
you it's different than when you are.
We had period makeup, but it wasn't the because I know with whether it was the 20s or the 30s, like there was like green and blue and stuff that would contrast with those things. I think with the color correction, we didn't have to do that. But because we weren't actually shooting in black and white, it was done in post, but we did do the period makeup. So it was all like the 1920s hair and makeup.
Jen knows.
Yeah. It was great.
I
Well,
know
because
that-
you just came through with your sandwich bit. Like you didn't have that much. You did look like a soda jerk.
I did look at a soda jerk, and I've got a great picture of all of us on
Yeah,
set
yeah.
and it's black and white.
It better be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It better. Yeah. I mean, Selena was in a flapper dress,
Yeah.
right? With the long pearls and whatever.
Yeah.
It must have been so much fun. I mean,
was-
it's moments like that, especially in second season, there's some like real highlights because third season and beyond, it was more about special effects and
Yeah.
magic
Yeah.
and monsters
It
and
got bigger, especially
otherworldly
the
play.
fourth
It got
season.
so big that you had like another soundstage you had to go into sometimes.
Yeah, our swing set became so much bigger than just like, a little aside.
Yeah.
Like the second season was such a great, short little sweet spot where we started to find our footing, but it was also still grounded.
Yeah.
It was, the second season episodes, I'm enjoying rewatching. One, because I can't remember a fucking thing.
Right, that's fun.
And I'm enjoying it. And we were way more meshed together.
Yeah.
We found
The
ourselves.
instrument was a lot more fine-tuned, I thought.
Yeah. You were having a show that I feel like definitely Peter Marietta pushing everybody, all of the writers to write different stories and
To elevate it.
and to elevate it. And then once it even was elevated at the end of the second season, things then probably behind the scenes, I don't know, got a little bit muddled. And maybe more executives wanted to get involved in like what this great new show is instead of letting the people who are making it great
I
stay
wonder if Peter,
working.
we've had Peter on the show, and I want to maybe have him back again if he's interested. But I wonder if he felt like the second season was if he had to pick a
sweet spot.
season, because
2 or 3 is my favorite.
Yeah.
Which one was y'all's favorite of the season?
I'm enjoying the
Second season,
the season 4 was not so much for me
No, I don't know if 4 was most people's
because they really
favorite.
kind of separated.
You
it.
know
But
what
it
it's
became
like?
Disney Channel
People
show.
love The Godfather, but people say Godfather 2 is superior.
Yeah.
And then they're like Godfather 3, they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think season 2 and some of season 3 is your Godfather
And then
2.
I think tail end of season 3 into 4 is when it got a little.
That's interesting because I've not heard 2 is better than 1.
You've never
with The
heard that?
Godfather.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, all the
I've heard that
time.
of sequels.
If anyone
That-
is comment right now, if you're listening, I want you to comment right now which Godfather is the superior Godfather.
well, they're both amazing.
They are exactly. Season 1 was amazing. Season 2, even better.
Wow,
A
there you
little,
go.
a
Even
little,
better.
Yeah, sure. You heard it here, kids. It's the Godfather.
Yeah, it's the Godfather. Godfather
Wizards,
2,
Wizards of
baby.
Waverly Place.
But
The
also
Godfather.
because
Maybe
you-
Grease too.
Because
Maybe
you
Grease
mentioned
too.
Peter.
Hey, listen, if you're gonna take all of the shows that were in the glory decade, which Wizards is firmly placed in, it's like one of the Godfathers of all
I
of the
will
shows
take
on
that.
Disney.
Yeah.
We're very proud of it, and I think it was definitely a highlight.
One, I would say
But biased.
that is a massive. Peter Marietta was why that happened.
Yeah.
because he championed the show. The reason why I didn't want to do the show in the beginning was because it was not something that happened on kids shows where the parents were involved. You know
Right,
what I
the
mean?
parents were usually
Where it was a
just the
family
joke.
They
show.
wagged the finger
How
and
many
that was
times
it,
have I
yeah.
talked to people and they're like, yeah, these kid shows. But your show, I watched with my kids.
Yeah.
So we were hitting all ages rather than just, being entertaining for the kids. And that was Peter championing the show,
Yeah.
like fighting for us to have a family show,
Right.
not just to be a silly kid show. You know what I mean?
When I saw that with other shows where I saw them being like, oh, it's a kid's show, whatever. And they'd kind of like whatever. And that was, I feel like what Peter championed and what our writers really rose to the occasion and all of us of being like, yeah, we know it's a kid's show, but let's see what we can do with that.
That's right.
To wrap it up,
Yes.
because we love you to death, but
I'm
we
done.
always
I have
get
nothing
outta
left to
here.
say.
No, so I want to ask, this one honors the 1920s era of film. What is your favorite era of film?
Whoa.
I
You know
know.
what? I there's a large chunk of the 60s
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I'm just amazed at the creativity that's going on. Maybe it's a lot of drugs that people were doing.
Yeah, I'm
and
thinking
coming
a
up with,
little of like
wacky-
Easy Rider, Dennis Hopper action.
Yeah, but then
and-
there's
yeah.
also like the crazy Peter Sellers movies
Yeah,
and
true.
Party.
The Party's one of them for sure. But I kind of like and then I don't know, where's Barbarella fit in? Probably 71 maybe?
Yeah, it's leads. I think that
Early
was
They said
late
they were going to
60s.
remake that. I was like,
Yeah,
how
they
do you
better. I
remake
don't
They were gonna do it with like Sydney Sweeney. I'm like, no, just don't.
Yeah.
It was like the weird Harrison Ford remake of Sabrina they had. Don't touch it.
Yeah, don't touch
Don't
it.
touch it.
Yeah, I agree.
Which was a remake, by the way.
Which was a remake. And
Of
well, then-
something else.
Yeah,
No, Sabrina was a remake
the
of Sabrina with Audrey
movie.
Hepburn also,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's an
Audrey
Audrey Hepburn
Hepburn.
movie. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
remake.
yeah.
It's like you don't remake Breakfast at Tiffany's. You don't remake Psycho.
Right.
That was a weird choice.
guess we're
You know, they
remaking
say like
everything.
'89 was like the glory year where all these great movies were released, and I maybe because I lived through it, I would just took it for granted.
Maybe.
But I kind of like the weirder cinematic storytelling that wasn't quite so clean yet and so formula.
Which makes sense, like with, you know, how you work with so much animation and stuff. They were kind of, some of the 60s stuff was so over the top that it kind of had that larger than life air.
I like the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
that was
that
a good
also
era.
was my, you know, more when I was going to the movies and,
Sure.
you know, like whatever, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones. Like, I mean, I was definitely influenced by Spielberg and, you know,
Oh,
there was a magic. There really was a magic to it.
Yeah,
you know?
Nicole Kidman's not wrong. We go to the movie for magic.
They've changed it. They shortened it.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
they
upset
changed
about
the
it.
thing.
I know.
And Austin Butler's in there now as Elvis.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, and it
Yeah,
used
we're
to be dressed-
missing the other. Anyway, but yes, we do go to the movies for magic. And when we want to find magic, we go to the Disney Channel for Wizards of Waverly Place.
Ezra, thank you for being
We love you
here.
so much.
My
Ezra.
pleasure. I love you guys.
you.
Congratulations on the success of your podcast.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
Thank you so
you.
much. Bye, everybody.
Bye. We'll see you next week.
Bye.